Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. My name is Ian Ofula and this is Weekend at 1. Now, two journalists and their driver who were allegedly beaten by GSU officers at the Galana Agricultural Development Corporation farm in Magarini were this morning transferred to the Aga Khan Hospital in Mombasa from Tana River. The journalists are said to have been roughed up by the officers as they covered a protest by nomads whose cattle had been seized by the GSU officers for grazing in the Galana ADC farm. The nomads claimed the officers asked for a 500 shilling bribe for every cow before the cattle could be released. The Inspector General of Police Joseph Boynet in a statement, however, says the nomads armed with clubs and machetes forced their way into the farm and attempted to forcefully take away their cattle. Boynet says the demonstrators became rioters and attempted to attack the GSU officers who responded, and the three were injured in the process. And now KTN's Stanley Mbichu, who is in Kilifi, joins us with an update. Stanley, you've been there on the ground. What exactly happened in this situation?
Ian, I'm in Kilifi County at the moment. I'm planning to head to Tana River County, and with the governor of Tana River County, together with two members of parliament, the majority leader of Tana River County and also minority leader of Tana River County, that is Mohammed Gabo and Masha Boru, respectively. To just bring you up to speed with what we've been able to gather on the ground is that, like you just said, yesterday we had two journalists, one from NTV by the name of Okwemba, and one Ruben Ogachi from Citizen, who were allegedly attacked by GSU officers at the ranch. And so far we've been able to visit some of those who were injured in the incident and are recuperating in the hospital. And of the residents from Galana, 3 were injured, and the other 3 brutally injured, who were brutally injured, were arrested yesterday and taken to a police station here in Malindi town. And so far, we've been able to speak to two of them who were able to speak to us, and they told us that yesterday, actually, officers from the GSU unit from the Galana ranch attacked them the moment that they went to seize their livestock back, to get their livestock back, or rather. And in the event, there was a scuffle where police officers, the GSU officers attacked them and beat them thoroughly. Some of them have been injured from the head to toe and also on the ribs. We visited, they're actually recuperating in Taufik Hospital in Malindi town, and have been admitted, and at the moment they are recuperating. They suffer leg, head, rib injuries, and all were ferried yesterday, by the way, by the Kenya Red Cross past midnight. The two journalists, as you said, they are in Mombasa. They were ferried to Aga Khan Hospital because it seemingly is that they are suffering from heavy injuries.
Stanley,
at the moment, the leaders from Tana River County say that they actually are against such acts where police officers who are supposed to protect the residents of Tana River County and other places in the country will take action in such heinous acts. And in his statement, the minority leader, or rather Mohammed Gabo, said that the officers who undertook this act, they've been doing this for quite some time. Just to give you a clear picture of how Galana Ranch is, it's over 1 million acres, and just 80% of the acre rather is in Tana River County, and 20% of the ranch is in Kilifi County. So at the moment we are lifting to Tana River County in order to speak to the locals of exactly what has been happening, because we've had allegations that these activities have been going on, that officers who are supposed to be protecting residents of these areas have been asking of bribe for cattle that have been under their captive. We actually are yet to find out exactly how the officers get to manage to get these cattle to their side, and the allegations that are leveled against them, that they actually ask for a 500 shillings bribe for every cattle to be given back to the residents here.
Thank you very much. That is Stanley Mbichu just giving us an update on this case where two journalists and their driver who were allegedly beaten by GSU officers at the Galana Agricultural Development Corporation farm in Magarini Development Corporation were this morning transferred to the Aga Khan Hospital in Mombasa, Tana River. The journalists are said to have been roughed up by the officers as they covered the protests by nomads whose cattle had been seized by the GSU officers for grazing in the Galana ADC farm. The nomads claimed the officers asked for a 500 shilling bribe for every cow before the cattle could be released. The Inspector General of Police, Joseph Boynet, in a statement, however, says the nomads, armed with clubs and machetes, forced their way into the farm and attempted to forcefully take away their cattle. Boynet says the demonstrators became rioters and attempted to attack the GSU officers who responded, and the three were injured in the process.
Walipiga mpaka mfupa ukakatika pale ndani. Na ajabu ni kwamba walikuwa wananiambia nitembee na huo mguu ambao umeumia. Wanasema huo mguu mmoja ni kunje, nitembee na huo mguu ambao ilikuwa painful. Actually it was very painful. Ikabidi ni tambaa kwa masaa hadi nikafika kwenye walikuwa wanataka tukae.
Nijaribu kwenda kumshikilia wakanichapa tena. Ananiambia nimwache atembee hivyo hivyo. Au kwa na huruma watu. Hata sijui ni askari wanafunzwa ama sisi wenyewe hatuna bunduki. Tulienda kule na vyombo vya kazi, kamera na notebook zetu. Lakini sasa tulishangaa mbona tunavamiwa, hata tujaulizwa nyinyi ni wakina nani.
Well, we shall have more of that story in our subsequent bulletins. Moving on, reports reaching us now say border riders have blocked the main Kapsabet road. It appears that they are protesting against the arrest of their colleagues last night. And KTN's Sam Ogina is right there now, and he joins us by way of phone with the details. Sam, what exactly is going on there?
Well, here it has been a standoff that has persisted for hours here at Mosoriot, that is the main road leading from Eldoret to Kapsabet town. Now, the main issue here being that border riders are actually protesting against what they say is police in action against them. Today, early in the morning, a truck full of police officers actually came here at Mosoriot Shopping Center and rounded up all the motorcycles that they could be able to round up and hit them in their lorry, transporting them directly to Kapsabet town. Now, what they are saying here is they're not going to relent. They're not going to allow any vehicle to make way through this road until the county government and also the police officers who actually partook in rounding up all the motorcycles and their motorcycles, for that matter, are returned. That's the only way, and that's the only time that they're going to unblock the road. Well, we also have information that I've actually seen a few local leaders, the likes of top politicians, Mark To, the women's rep for this area, are actually here trying to talk down the residents to be able just to see if they can persuade the residents to open up the road, for that matter. But they're still adamant, saying they're not going to do that until and unless their motorcycles are returned, because they say this is their mainstay, it's their way of doing business, most of them being border riders. That is their only economic mainstay. Ian?
Sam, what are the authorities saying about this, and do we know whether their motorbikes shall be returned to them?
Well, we've seen leaders here trying to talk to the county leadership in Kapsabet, trying to also engage top police officers. Politician Mark To actually spoke on phone with Grace Kaindi, trying to actually just persuade her to engage the officers here at Kapsabet so that they are able to do as requested, as the residents say that they need their motorcycles back. But as it stands right now, it's just a wait and see game, because the residents are not, the police officers are keeping vigil and no vehicles are moving. There is some form of gridlock, vehicles making U-turn going back to where they're coming from, and there's no any other alternative route. So people are just making U-turns going back to where they came from. Ian?
Thank you very much, Samogina. Of course, we shall have more of that in a subsequent bulletin. Samogina giving us an update where from Kapsabet Road, where motorbike operators have blocked off the road, and I understand the traffic has also piled up. Moving on, former President Daniel Arap Moi denies he has ever met President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto at State House, Nairobi last Wednesday. Moi's statement is a reaction to a story on one of the local dailies today. Moi terms the story a monumental falsehood and questions the motive of the writers. The retired president is cautioning journalists against rushing to write and publish stories before they are verified by authorized sources. He said government institutions had clearly defined communication channels, adding that it was prudent to use dubious sources. And on matters health now, the 5-day strike at the all Kenya Medical Training Colleges has now been called off. The director of KMTC, Peter Tum, says the health workers have resolved their issues with the government. He addressed a press conference with KUDEHA Secretary General Albert Njeru, where they said the return to work formula was accepted to all concerned parties.
All the workers, countrywide KMTC, are called upon to report on their duties as early as tomorrow as scheduled 8 a.m. I now officially call off the strike. So effective from this month, the workers of KMTC will be getting a 12% increment in their payroll through their pay slips.
It is expected that from Monday, tomorrow, all the staff of Kenya Medical Training College in all the 42 campuses will be resuming work from 8 o'clock.
And to some good news for Nairobi road users. The southern bypass has today officially been opened by Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero in the ongoing bid to ease traffic congestion in the city. For the last 1 week, the bypass has been undergoing fast-track leveling in order to have it opened way ahead of its scheduled November launch. Trucks weighing 8 tons and above are expected to use the bypass between 5 a.m. and 10 p.m. Last week, the Nairobi County government was forced to reopen the right turns on 3 roundabouts on Uhuru Highway as they led to increased traffic jam, especially along Mombasa Road. The authorities say they will be reviewing the flow of traffic now as a way of deciding their next course of action.
Today we are very, very pleased and very happy that we are able to open this road. Traffic for the heavy commercial vehicles will at Sereni divert here and get back to the highway at Kikuyu, and from the western side the vehicles will get divert onto at Kikuyu and come in at Sereni. This road will be maintained, and also it will be patrolled by police to make sure that it is safe. Very, very shortly we'll be ensuring that even traffic lights are put on it. So really it's our great pleasure, because this is part of the ongoing process of causing the congestion within the city.
Well, we are taking a short commercial break, but we'll be back with more stories. Stay tuned. Let us cross borders a bit now and head to Libya, where hundreds of people are feared to have drowned after a boat carrying up to 700 migrants capsized in the Mediterranean Sea. The Italian Coast Guard says a major rescue operation is underway after the vessel carrying between 500 and 700 migrants capsized at midnight local time south of the Italian island of Lampedusa. So far, 28 people have been rescued. Earlier this week, 400 people were feared to have drowned when the vessel capsized on north of Libya. And in Britain, the birth of William and Kate's second child will be proclaimed on an easel at Buckingham Palace and heralded with bells and gun salutes. From baby fashion to bookmakers betting, here is an A to Z on the birth of Prince William and his wife Kate's second child as the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge prepare for their new addition to the Britain's royal family. Take a look.
A is for announcement. The birth of William and Kate's second child will be proclaimed on an easel at Buckingham Palace and heralded with bells and gun salutes. B is for brother. The new baby will be 21 months younger than his older brother Prince George and will be fourth in line to the throne. C is for christening. Like George, the baby will be baptised wearing a replica of a lace and satin gown that has been used since 1841. F is for fashion. The new royal baby will be a trendsetter before it can even walk and talk. George's fashion choices, like these dungarees, have flown off the shelves. G is for grandparents. William's father, Prince Charles, the heir to the throne, and his wife Camilla are expected to visit the hospital, along with Kate's parents, Michael and Carol Middleton. H is for hospital. The baby is due to be born in the private St Mary's Hospital, where a two-room suite costs £6,750 a night. K is for Kate. The 33-year-old mother suffered acute morning sickness again during her second pregnancy, causing her to miss some royal engagements. M is for memorabilia. The Centre for Retail Research reckons the baby will bring sales of around £60 to £70 million. N is for name. Bookmakers' favourites for a girl are Alice, Elizabeth, Charlotte, Alexandra and Victoria. For a boy, it's James, Arthur, Henry, Philip and Albert. Q is for Queen Elizabeth II. The baby will be the monarch's 5th great-grandchild and her 17th descendant. W is for William. The 32-year-old father is training to become an air ambulance pilot, and he could face an anxious 2-hour drive to London when Kate goes into labour. Z is for Z's. William and Kate can expect many months of sleepless nights, but their nannies will be on hand to ease the burden.
Quite interesting. The baby is already a fashion trendsetter before it is even born. Now, moving on, Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe on Saturday denounced anti-foreigner violence that has left at least 6 people dead in neighboring South Africa. The deadly anti-foreigner attacks, which erupted in the eastern port city of Durban, have spread to economic hub Johannesburg and sent more than 1,000 people fleeing the violence. The 250,000 member community of Zimbabweans are the largest community of foreign nationals in South Africa. Massive inequality and high unemployment have bred explosive resentment among locals against immigrants living in South Africa.
Lieutenant Tana.
I would want now to express our sense of shock and disgust, our sense of shock, disgust as we are bored. The incident that happened in Durban, where some 5 or 6 Africans were burnt to death deliberately by some members of the South African Zulu community. The act of treating other Africans in that horrible way can never be condoned by anyone.
Xenophobia in South Africa continues to just shock the world. The images alone are quite disturbing. Now, back home, the Eastleigh business community is asking the government to launch a rehabilitation program for radicalized youth. The community says Muslim leaders are doing a lot of work at the grassroots level to change the youth's perception of terror groups and is now seeking the government's support. Speaking in Eastleigh this morning, the businessmen say it is time for Kenyans to unite against attempts by terror organizations to divide the people along religious lines.
We appeal to the Muslims in Kenya to unite against the phenomenon of terrorism. As many Muslim youth are falling prey to the hands of extremists, Muslim parents and educational institutions are urged to closely monitor their children and their activities and to report any missing children or suspicious activities to the relevant authorities. Muslims should also take their responsibility towards the peace and the security of Kenya. We oppose the government's intention to shut down the Dadaab refugee camp and forcefully repatriate the refugees to Somalia. The refugees are the victims of terrorists. Majority of them are women, children, and elderly people. Thus, shutting down the camp will lead to unnecessary human disaster. Additionally, sending hundreds of thousands of youth to the other side of the border may lead to radicalization and may leave them with no choice but to join Al-Shabaab.
And in sports, Real Madrid beat Malaga 3-1 in a costly win with Luka Modric and Gareth Bale hobbling out of the match. Arsenal are through to the FA Cup final thanks to their victory, and Chelsea are on course to seal a Premier League title thanks to a 1-0 win over Manchester City.
Scoring the winner.
Chelsea moved within 2 wins of reclaiming the Premier League title after Eden Hazard's goal gave them a narrow victory over Manchester United at the Stamford Bridge. Chelsea were pushed all the way by resurgent United, hunting a 7th successive Premier League victory. Wayne Rooney and Radamel Falcao came closest for United, but once again they fell victim to the resilience and defensive strength that is Chelsea's trademark under Mourinho. Holders Arsenal reached a record 19th FA Cup final after 2 goals from Alexis Sanchez sealed victory over Reading in extra time. Sanchez gave the Premier League side a 39th minute lead from close range before Gareth McClary volleyed home an equalizer shortly after the break. Reading needed the post and keeper Adam Federici to keep the scores level as the game required an extra 30 minutes to decide the outcome. The Australian keeper was at fault as Sanchez's effort spilled through his grasp, and although Reading pushed for an equalizer, Arsenal held on. The Gunners will now face the winners of Sunday's other semi-final between Aston Villa and Liverpool as they look to lift a record 12th FA Cup. And finally, Real Madrid stayed in the running for La Liga title, the costly 3-1 win over Malaga with Gareth Bale and Luka Modric out injured. Real Madrid seemed to have lost its rhythm, playing on impulse until 24th minute when Sergio Ramos slipped a powerful cross from Cristiano Ronaldo past the Cameroon goalkeeper. Malaga kept up the pressure into the second half, during which time James Rodriguez and Cristiano were the mainstay of Real Madrid. And after Cristiano's near miss of a penalty kick, James scored after 68 minutes. Malaga showed it was still in the game, and just 120 seconds later, Wami scored for Malaga and it looked like a battle down to the wire. Until Chicharito raised the ball down the right, then Cristiano took a low cross and booted it into the net.
50 up to the season.
Well, and that's it this afternoon. Our Twitter handle is @KTN Kenya. Facebook is still the same, KTN Kenya. Do let us know what is happening around you and we shall be glad to inform the rest of the country. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. My name is Ian Wafula.